I'm building the largest country in Minecraft. And yes, I really am. It's named Wytopia Land. Technically, Wytopia Land 2025. It's named after me, kind of. So, yeah. It has a whole lot of regions to explore, cities to get lost in, and so much more. At least that's what I hope it to be. And before we begin, just support me by subscribing. Really, it helps me a lot. So, let's get into it. So, get ready as I tell you all about the self-proclaimed largest Minecraft country. Wytopia Land is the largest country in Minecraft. At least it's what I hope it to be. What area we are working with right now is an 8,192 by 8,192 block wide terrain. It has plains for the most part, a bit of desert, some forest scattered around, a big forest, and some ocean. But trust, it's gonna be so much bigger than this. What I've built so far is the city of Wytopia, which is near the center of the terrain. It currently has 5 areas: the central downtown, the south downtown, the east downtown, Eastbrook, and this federal government area, which is there because in the lore, Wytopia is the federal capital of Wytopia Land, but we'll get into that more later. Right next to that is the town of Victorville, west of this freeway. It currently has 2 sections, this big mall and a small suburban area. I've also built in a lot of other locations across the map, including by the sea, which has a giant bridge, an interchange, another freeway, and a kind of beach resort area with big mansions beside the beaches as well as actual beach stuff. So now that we have the idea of what's already been built, let's look back at the history of the build. Wytopia Land started back in the summer of 2022, but as not even a country, but a small town in the United States. It was a town named Myron City, and when I first built it, it had a skyscraper, 2 houses, several shops, an elementary school, a park, and even a cemetery. But a couple days later, I eventually stopped working on the city as I put a bunch of rails down for cars. But they did not work as expected, and I did not feel like removing all the rails. I later renamed it to White City when I started working on it again, and on October 11th, 2022, I snapped this screenshot of the city, which is actually at first that I have. It has another skyscraper, an Apple store, more houses, a lot more services such as fire, police, and healthcare, a bank, a high school, a gas station, and even a Burger King. Wow, I had a lot. For a short time, I renamed it to White's World and added a small countryside with another town I called Detroitville. But a couple of days later, I have ended up reversing the taints and focus on building the main city, abandoning Detroitville. I kept building and adding more districts, and in the spring of 2023, I renamed the city to Wytopia. In late 2023, I started the countryside of Wytopia Land. The plan is simple: to have one tropical island, a mountain range, a central plain, a large desert, and a large forest. I also had 4 cities: Wytopia, Minetopia in the desert, Brent in the forest, and Caden on the tropical island. Very late that year, I changed up the map a bit to have even more things, including a tundra and a tropical rainforest. By the way, if you didn't know what a tundra is, it's kind of like those subarctic areas. In 2024, I started work on that section of the map, starting with Forest City, then moving to the districts of Metrolonia, a city that, in the lore of Wytopia Land, is the largest in the country by population. By mid-2024, my building skills were so good that I decided I would build in other places to transfer the already built areas, as well as a pretty good command knowledge. By late 2024, I started redoing areas of the already built to match with my better building styles, starting with Wytopia. But what unfortunately came before I could start, on September 27th, 2024, the world was corrupted and I had to start over the world. The corruption was so in-depth that I recently made an entire personal narrative in school about it, but yeah. In late 2024, I started on a brand new project named Wytopia Land 2, which was a different version of Wytopia Land, but still kind of the same vibe in cities. But when I got a computer for Christmas, I started over again a couple of different times until May 23rd, 2025, when I started building the Wytopia Land 2025 we all know. On May 27th, I created my first YouTube video on it, and yeah, that's the in-depth history of Wytopia Land. Now that we've had an in-depth history of Wytopia Land, we can now have an in-depth tour of Wytopia Land. This is the Wytopia Tower, the tallest building in Wytopia. It is in the lore 207.5 meters or 680.7 feet tall. However, in Minecraft, it is only 165 blocks tall, including the antenna. This is the Wytopia Bank Tower, the second tallest building in Wytopia. It is, in the lore, 203.8 meters, including the antenna. However, in Minecraft, it is only 151 blocks tall, including the antenna. This is a small block of banks in a construction site. This is the City Hall of Wytopia. In the lore, this building was built in 1995. However, the original building was built back in 1753 when the city was incorporated. These blocks just have a bunch of things, to be honest. It has 3 skyscrapers, a restaurant, a realtor, and a bunch more buildings. I think to be more realistic, I should probably add a bunch of parking lots. And yes, these are just more skyscrapers, although there is a cool historic building. This is the Richard Victor Memorial Park. In the lore, Richard Victor is like a person who built a lot of buildings in Victorville during the 1770s. This is what I call Desmond Crossing. It contains a couple office buildings, an apartment building, and a library. This is the Eastbrook Elementary School. In the lore, it serves Eastbrook Unified School District and number 6. And over here is Harrison L. Carey High School. It also serves the Eastbrook District. There are a bunch of strip malls here. The first strip mall here contains a convenience store, an Apple store, and an outdoor restaurant. The second strip mall here contains a Nike store, an emergency room, a random building, and a Taco Bell. The third strip mall here contains a PetSmart, a Dollar Tree, and a bank. Last but not least, for the shopping area are these big stores, a Costco and a Walmart. They don't really belong to any strip mall. This is Eastbrook, a suburb of Wytopia. As you can see, there are these row houses here and a park over there. This is the government area, or what I like to call Wytopia Land Hill. There's the Capitol all the way over there, and this is a fountain of the Wytopia Land flag. This is Victorville, another suburb of Wytopia. However, unlike Eastbrook, Victorville is a separate incorporated city. This is the Ranchside Mall. It contains a large food court, an IMAX theater, an outdoor shop, and a clothing store. Outside of that is this empty strip mall. There's these 4 nice houses and a little corner park. Going down to the beach area, this is Seatown, and we have a couple small buildings and mansions. We also have this cool beach, as I said, and it's really cool. We have palm trees, we have blankets, we even have a boat over there. There's also this big highway interchange and also a really cool bridge. Now we're going up to the desert, and this is where there's a big desert hill, a sheriff's office, and some power lines. In this forest, we have a campground and a small roll house. And that's it for the tour. And just so you know, the world download is up on Planet Minecraft. You can go get it right there. It's free, has everything, and you'll definitely be amazed. You can also download this map of Wytopia Land in case you get lost. It is PNG format. You can go get it right here. And now here's my plans for Wytopia Land. I planned this to be the overall landscape of Wytopia Land. This is the current map over it for reference. As you can see, I want to have a large range of landscapes, from mountains to deserts to even tropical rainforests. I'll go through them one by one. Most of Wytopia Land is covered by the Great Wytopia Land grassland, which is actually split into 3 parts: the Terra Field, the Moar Field, and the Sarah Field. The Terra Field is the grassland that surrounds Wytopia. The Moar Field is the areas around the east coast and surrounding. And the Sarah Field is the rest of the Great Wytopia Land grassland. North of the Terra Field is the Queenian Yohannian Desert, which is split into 2 parts: the Queenian, the hotter part of the desert, and the Yohannian, which is a much smaller area in the north where it's a cool desert. East of that is the Cascadia Forest, which is a large temperate rainforest. Yes, if you didn't know, temperate and tropical rainforests are 2 different things. North of that are the Forever Mountains, the tallest mountain range in Wytopia Land. The tallest mountain is Mount Forever, which is about 25,500 feet, or about 7,050 meters tall and more. There are also 4 other mountains here which are over 18,000 feet, or about 5,500 meters tall. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading numbers today. South of all that is the Bering Strait, a small body of water that separates Wytopia Land Island from South Island. South Island is a tropical island where half of it is covered by a very rocky rainforest, the Jacquinia, and the other half is temperate grassland, the Cedo. To the southeast of South Island is the Gonzales Estrecho, a body of water separating South Island from Figure Step Island. The Cedo continues on Figure Step Island until the Larry Mountains, which then transitions into the Heimstaff Desert and the Heimstaff Plains. Northwest of the Heimstaff is the Tagrandif Badlands, a large collection of weird rocks and deserts and forests that make that part of the Figure Step Island kind of red from the top. West of Figure Step Island is the Havoc Sea, a large sea between South Wytopia Land Island, Everyton Island, and Figure Step Island. Everyton Island is just covered by a large pine forest and not a lot else. Going west of that, we have the Wytopia Land Peninsula on Wytopia Land Island, which contains the Rosenfield tropical rainforest and the Vascordia savanna, which is in fact not a savanna, more like the Australian outback, as well as the Vascordia plains. North of that is the Carson Plains, some hot plains that are cut in half by the Carson Lake. The northern half is a lot more arid and actually contains a large volcano. West of Carson Lake are the Sound Islands, which are islands in the Wytopia Land Sound. They're just some temperate islands with a few volcanoes. North of the South Islands, the Sound Islands, is the ice sheet tundra, which is a random area where the temperature gets a lot cooler and causes this to happen. Finally, to the northwest of the Forever Mountains is the meteor zone and the Little Salt Flats. The meteor zone is just where a meteor hit in the lore, and the Little Salt Flats is the remnants of a really big salty lake. There will also be multiple big cities in Waiitopia Land. Minetopia will be near the center of the Queenian Desert. It's going to be like a desert city, similar to Phoenix, Arizona. Brent and New Brent will be near the northern edge of the Cascadia Forest. It will be similar to Pacific Northwest cities such as Seattle and Portland. Golden Hills will be just to the north of Brent. It will be similar to Omaha, Nebraska. Mountainburg City will be just to the south of the Forever Mountains. It will be similar to Denver, Colorado. Post City will be on the east coast to the east of Waiitopia. It'll be similar to cities like Miami, Florida, but more like temperate than subtropical. South City will be near the center of South Island. It'll be similar to Manaus, Brazil. Trenton will be near the center of this peninsula. It'll be similar to Atlanta, Georgia. Metro Farlow will be near the center of Figure Step Island. It'll be similar to Phoenix, Arizona, but more coastal. Johnsonburg will be near the center of the Tagradiff Badlands. It'll be similar to Johannesburg, South Africa. Tafia City will be on the southern coast of Waiitopia Land Island. I guess you could say it's based on Los Angeles. I don't know. Rainforest City will be near the center of the Rosenfield Tropical Rainforest. It'll be based on Manaus, Brazil. Again. Savannah City will be near the center of Vascordia, Savannah. It'll be based on Alice Springs, Australia. Carson City will be on the west coast of Waiitopia Land. It'll be based on Los Angeles, California. Snow Point City will be in the ice sheet tundra. It'll be based on Yakutsk, Russia. South Planton will be north of the ice sheet tundra. It'll be based on Stockholm, Sweden. Metrolonia will be near the center of Waiitopia Land Island as a whole. It'll be based on New York, Dubai, and some other big cities. It'll also be the largest city in Waiitopia Land. River City will be south of Metrolonia. It'll be based on Detroit, Michigan. Forest City, Zweitendorf City, and Stoddard City will all be west of Metrolonia. They'll be based on Frankfurt, Germany. Riverton and Playground City will both be on the Jackson River north of Forest City. They'll be based on St. Louis, Missouri, but with a bunch of mountains. And that's it for my plans for Waiitopia Land. Now we must get into the lore of Waiitopia Land. The lore's really deep, not gonna lie. Waiitopia Land is a constitutional republic in North America just west of the United States West Coast. Waiitopia Land is home to 19 states and 4 overseas territories. The capital of Waiitopia Land is Waiitopia City, and the largest city is Metrolonia, with over 10 million people living there. The country is home to 184.65 million people as of the 2025 national census, and the GDP is estimated at 30.89 trillion in USD. This is the flag of Waiitopia Land, and this is the coat of arms. The flag is called the Colors of Liberty. The flag is 3 stripes: cyan, red, and yellow, and a banner on the right with the stars representing each state. The cyan means liberty, red means equality, and yellow means boldness. The motto is this, meaning forward in Latin. The national anthem of Waiitopia Land is this amazing song that I call the same thing as the motto. The lyrics are shown here. Comment if you want it turned into an actual song. The official languages of Waiatopia Land are English, Spanish, and Waiatostoy, a native language. The national bird is the Waiatopian robin, and the national flower is the torch flower. For politics, there are two parties, the left and the right, and every leap year, a new president is elected from one of these parties. They'll go in office on midnight on January 1st, as well as some more stuff. Waiatopia Land is considered a major player in almost every big industry, from tech to cars to even fashion. It has the massive Waitek, which is worth $3.9 trillion. And here's a bunch of other random lore. The name Waiatopia Land came from an English person named Wyatt Albert, who first discovered Waiatopia Land island for the Europeans in about 1550. A small British colony was named after him, named Raiatopia, in the north of Waiatopia Land, and ended up becoming Waiatopia Land once all the colonies became unified in 1642. In fact, let's get into history right now. In about 25,500 BC, the Accordians came to what is now the Waiatopia Land Peninsula. However, it was not a peninsula back then because sea levels were lower. They created a large civilization that ended up spreading around the island, but it all fell apart around 24,000 BC due to unknown reasons. By 4000 BC, a bunch of civilizations were scattered across modern-day Waiatopia Land, including the Ray and Rapalchir, known for art and pottery, and the Waiatostoy for being a center of governance and learning. But by about 2500 BC, the Waiatostoy became power-hungry, and it decided to take out almost all of Waiatopia Land for itself. And by 2350 BC, it had done just that. But by about 500 AD, the Waiatostoy Empire became unstable in government, again for unknown reasons, and it all fell apart by 1000 AD. And by 1550, Wyatt Albert, an English explorer, was exploring the coast of California when he stumbled across the right side of Fagry Step Island. In a matter of years, the Spanish established a colony there, Los Abuelos, near the opening of the Bering Strait. The English and French also joined in about 75 years. By 1642, England asked for all the land in Waiatopia Land from the Spanish and French between the 32nd and 46th parallel for $4 million. France and Spain said yes because they were in a really tough financial situation at the time. By the 1640s, the Lonius, the Carsons, and the Victors had all bought land in Waiatopia Land. And all these families started some of the largest cities in the country. By 1765, the stamp tax and all the weird laws British made in the years following, the Waiatopia Lands eventually declared their independence on July 6, 1778, causing a revolution. It ended up in England surrendering to Waiatopia Land in 1780 because of everything happening in America, so they just let Waiatopia Land free. During the 1800s, the economy and the population boomed. Cities were booming all across the country thanks to the Industrial Revolution. In World War I and World War II, the country was a large ally and the Allies, and after World War II, Waiatopia Land had even more of a population boom, as now there are a bunch of new developments in the country. And now by 2025, Waiatopia Land is a large country with a large past. So, I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. And lastly, thanks for all my support over the past 4 months of content creation. It helps me a lot. So bye, and you're so Waitopian. Peace.